We are going to talk about our favorite shooter this year. Just up front, this is not reflecting GameSpot's. Like, I don't like our Game of the Year awards. This is just us three talking about our favorite shooter. We did do like which upcoming shooters for you. Kind of. Can you move back a little bit that way? No, like that side. Never mind.
Did I screw it up?
Yeah. Oh, sorry for people listening. Rob just like obscured a camera completely.
This is different.
Yeah, so instead of doing like which shooters for you between Titanfall, Battlefield, and Call of Duty, which I'll release, like, it was Battlefield, Titanfall, Call of Duty. I already said it right the first time.
Battlefield, Titanfall, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And then Overwatch.
Overwatch was much longer ago, but we want to talk about our favorite shooters here. I'm pretty sure all three of us have the same one, so I want to talk about them all, and I'm going to pick one that might not be my favorite shooter this year, but mine, I would like, we all would probably say Titanfall 2, right? We are all big fans of Titanfall 2 in this office. That's one of my favorite games this year.
It's weird because when I was seeing things for Titanfall 2 and when I was listening to you guys talk about Titanfall 2, I didn't really care about it. I didn't think I'd like it that much.
Yeah,
and then I tried it.
You should listen to me more in the future.
No, I mean, I listen to Rob more.
Yeah, you said that. We sat down and played this week. We just played Overwatch and Titanfall 2 like the weekend straight. He's like, dude, I wasn't interested in it until Rob told me if you like cloak and shock. And I was like, Rob is the one pulling you in this game after I ranted about it for like 2 weeks. Gave it a 9 out of 10. It's a good game. It's really fun. Like, and I can't get enough of it. Like the progression system they introduced with it. Like we were talking about how I was just talking with Aaron today in the break room. He was saying like the progression system they introduced, like each new like major upgrade you get, whether it's a pilot loadout or some like new Titan ability that you can change up, just it makes the game fun in a new way, whether it's the phase shift, whether it's a pilot that you can just warp around with, or the amp shield, which I actually have been using a lot more recently, which wasn't my favorite because it kind of demands that you be stationary as opposed to wall running and whatnot. But I don't know, Rob, you've been ranting about this game since we both went to the review event for it. We've been playing it a ton. I think you're the highest level out of any of us. I'm level like 30.
I've regen.
Yeah, you regen?
We want to open with Titanfall? I could spend the entire time talking about it.
We'll try to keep it.
Just like, I was playing a little bit of Titanfall 1 just like yesterday, and like, seeing like where like they've changed, and they have changed everything in the best manner. One is the progression system, which gives you incentive to play the game. But what is continually surprising me about Titanfall is finding new ways to play the game, as well as like being able to see different perks and abilities, having greater purposes, and also seeing people counter them. Like there is such a balance to be said about everything in that game. Everything you can pick and choose has like a greater purpose or counter. I was telling Jake the other day, like ejecting the other day, and someone did this to me where now as the game has been out and people are getting much better at, say shooting an eject pilot that you've just killed from a Titan.
Yeah.
You think you got him. You think he's a sitting duck, and then he throws a fire star on your face and blinds you. And that happened to me the other day, and I just went, oh! You're seeing people learn different ways of handling different outcome situations, and that's why they have a perk that allows you to cloak and auto eject, so you never have to worry about dying in your Titan, right? Yeah. Like there are just so many ways that glorify like personality and play style that I keep seeing and finding and learning. Like I'm addicted to North Star, for instance, the Titan. Yeah. And the other day I feel like I've developed my loadout, and I'm just like exploiting that, like cloak shoddy with like North Star, like that's all I want to do. But then you start changing up a little bit of North Star, and for instance, I started trying out one of the perks specific to North Star is being able to move around more when you are doing kind of like Farah ult, right? Or the flight core, which is, it's just like a load of rockets. The problem with that flight core is actually that of all of the other Titans is that you're just, again, a sitting duck. Everyone can see you. You're kind of slow. Everyone is shooting at you because they're also have, their own incentive to kill you. And then I engaged that flight core, in which you, the perk where you move faster. And then I started realizing like, oh my God, this is now my favorite thing, because now I can fly over people. I wasn't getting as many kills with North Star with that ultimate. Now I'm flying over people and they can't turn around quick enough. Now I'm behind them using this. I do that, and then I think about other perks with North Star. For instance, 20% core ability automatically.
Yeah.
So now I'm exploiting North Star's flight core ability, and it's working. Like it is working so well, and I've just changed how I've played North Star, and that's one specific Titan.
But I think, you say exploiting, but I think one of the cool things about Titanfall, which you just said, is how balanced it is. Like there are still ways you can take that down. And like there's some ways that I feel like people haven't even found out yet that could be super vulnerable to, right?
Yeah. Whenever I die in that game compared to like other games and shooters over the years where I've dropped off, this game doesn't have that frustration and that kind of cheapness I think other shooters can have. When I die, I couldn't have done anything about that.
Yeah.
And Battlefield, and I love Battlefield, sniper across the map. Just
The progression, you never know what
Bam.
you're going to get in Battlefield.
you just die. I feel like every time, or most times when I play Timefall, it doesn't always happen, but most of the time, whenever I die, I think, what was the lesson there? And you learn from it. And I feel like I'm just learning every freaking time I play that game, and it's just that's what's keeping me going.
Yeah, one thing I do, I love it for the same reasons I love Overwatch. The game itself, it changes how you look at it and how you play it depending on what Titan you're using, what your pilot loadout is. One recent combo that I just started using like the other day is you could do a perk where your Titan, instead of falling with a shield around it, will fall in like 2 seconds with no shield. So, but then I got the pilot ability where you can, when you're getting into your Titan, instead of like having it pick you up or jumping in and then closing the cockpit, you just warp in. So now I just get into my Titan. I call my Titan in and get into it in like 3 seconds total. So I like deposited my money in Bounty Hunt, which is my favorite mode, turned around and then immediately called my Titan right next to it, jumped in, I was in, and I was ready like to defend the bounty, like the bank where
That's
you deposit
really
your
cool.
money.
Yeah, that's
Scorch
cool.
is my favorite, but now that I like regen Scorch yesterday, I'm getting much more into Ronin, who was only like level 6 before. Ronin and the new, we were just like, you were freaking out this morning about they released the update notes,
Coming
which
out
will be out
Wednesday,
a week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
So November 30th, if you're watching this after it's live. Ronin now, if he gets doomed, so once your health goes down as a Titan, your health will just be this yellow and red flashing bar, and you're pretty much done. And you can eject at any time at that point. But also, if someone melees you, it's an instant like assassination. Once Ronin's doomed, it'll automatically phase warp him out of the fight, which seems awesome because like he's tailored toward like close quarters, and I love just bomb rushing people and when they have no idea what to do, I just smoke them with my sword. That's why I like Scorch though, because I can like counter him easily.
And that's super cool. Like obviously they were gonna have some DLCs. I would have imagined them Respawn to have done maybe like a new Titan first.
Yeah.
But that makes me really excited because it's just wow, they're gonna tap into the Titan kits. That almost makes more sense. That will bring me back for sure. Yeah. Try out the new ability for this Titan. Like I just think that's so cool. Yeah, and then I don't know that one of the things that got me all riled up was like executions, which is like your assassination for like a Halo game. There's they added a new one where you basically phase warp inside someone's body and then reappear, so they explode around you. Is like it says on paper. Yeah, Matrix
Neo, the Mr. Smith.
I gotta see that.
Yeah,
it's exciting, that game.
I don't want to linger. I do want to linger on Titanfall much longer, but we don't have a ton of time. I think it's all 3 of our favorite shooters this year, despite the fact that there are a ton of other shooters. I want to get into them now. I will say really quickly, if you haven't played Titanfall 2's campaign, which I think both of you have, it's only like 4.5, 5 hours long, but it's really good between the platforming, the pilot combat, the fact that you can swap Titan loadouts on the fly to adapt to the situation. Really well designed. There's a mission in there that's like one of my favorite, both of our favorite like missions in any shooter ever, and it's called Effect and Cause. That's all I'll say about it because you should experience it for yourself. It's about a little more than halfway through the game, I'd say. The campaign's really well designed. Story's not the greatest, but it's worth playing. I do want to. I just mentioned Overwatch, like that as well. Like might as well be tied. That's one of my favorite games of the year. Blizzard once again just goes into a new genre and nails it. It's so, despite the fact that there's 27 characters now, there's 25 to begin with, I believe. Now with Ana and Sombra introduced in the updates, I don't know. Like this, you have to be a lot more patient in this game than Titanfall. But we did talk about it, how especially with like the 3v3 mode now, I'm getting back into that and remembering why I love that game to begin with. It came out in March or May. May. Yeah. Sorry, March was like a few other games. I don't know. You and I both played Overwatch a lot this weekend, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say Overwatch is definitely up there. I don't think I love it as much as everyone else does, but like when you have a team of 6 or even like a team of 3v3, like I don't want to talk about it too much, but that game is a lot of fun. Like when you get going, and the character diversity and all the, I don't know, there's so much to it. Like the Titans in Titanfall, each character has so many levels to it. Like there's so much you have to figure out, but at the same time, which has been said a lot too, but you just pick it up and play. Like it's not
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's easy to like figure out what one character is about, but it's not easy to master them. You see people like I don't know, like Eric Tay when he plays Mei. I'm like, oh shit, that's how Mei is supposed to be played, and I'm nowhere near that because I have like, I mean, I reviewed the game, I played a lot of it, and I've been getting back into it lately, but I still only have like 6 characters that I'm completely confident with out of like 27. There's 21 other characters who like I know how to play and I like playing them, most of them. I don't think there's any character I dislike playing. There are definitely characters I like get way more excited about to play if I have to play them, especially if you're doing random heroes. You're like, oh, I'm just saddled with like Torbjorn, but then you start playing and you're like, okay, he's actually really fun, and to it, especially because people tend to hate him. But it's like I just mentioned this when we were talking about Titanfall 2, but I love this game because it changes based on who you're playing and who you're playing against. And the fact that Blizzard tried to do so much and also nailed it and still found balance and like precision, that's like crazy, especially with this many characters and this many maps and whatnot. Or they're not a ton of maps, but I don't know. They just found like this really good balance in this. And, you know, I could go on all day about like how Junkrat stacks up against Zarya and how Zarya, who's my favorite character, goes up against Hanzo and everything. But again, like just from the weapons everybody uses to the abilities they use to their ults, how they affect the game, like you learn when certain characters are good throughout a match. I don't know, Rob, did you play? You played like around launch, right? I remember you
Absolutely,
playing with us.
yeah. I think it's a freaking great game, obviously, and everyone here in our offices like speaks like just such appraisal for that game. And I think one of the reasons is it's got that wider demographic of like, hey, I don't have to be a Twitch shooter necessarily to play this game, right?
Yeah.
Like I can be that support class, I can be this person and still really kill it in that respect. And I think that's, you know, in comparison to Titanfall, that's where I feel like maybe not many people have been in our office have been like into it, because everyone can find their own way of playing more so than like, you know, because it ties so heavily to like MOBA elements and shooter elements, and it just brings so much to the table. Each character is like, correct me if I'm wrong, is kind of like not like poking fun, but almost like a pull on like different genres in the field. And,
definitely.
And that's where you can relate to X hero. And,
Well, I mean, like talking about Titanfall, that Diva is kind of like clearly inspired by Titanfall.
Right.
Someone that can get out of their mech and everything.
Right.
You have, you know, characters like Widowmaker, McCree, who are probably more tailored to people who played a lot of Counter-Strike or anything.
Soldier
you have
76 is Call of Duty-ish.
Yeah, he's like the introduction. You have Farah, who's kind of like a Quake-ish character, high mobility and just like rockets and whatnot. And yeah, I don't know. It definitely, it's really impressive how there are so many different ways to play the game, but it is really balanced. I mean, they've updated characters. Like Diva just got a buff recently to like up her health and everything. And then 3v3 mode came out. Sombra and Ana, I like both of those characters. Sombra a little more so. Again, one of the better games of the year in my opinion. It's in my top 5 definitely.
I keep hearing about this 3v3 mode. Is that just because it's like more of a toned down, like better way of understanding these characters? Because I think that's where I'm at, is like it's intimidating.
You probably like it. It's elimination, so you only have one life unless Mercy revives you. But it's 3v3. It's best first to 3 round wins. So the match is like best of 3, best of 5. Sorry, and you go in with 3 characters. You start to understand the characters a little more because you're trying to survive more than just kill people and like push a point or push the payload and everything. It's much more. I think it's much more focused, but there are some characters that won't be as good in it as they would in like a regular 6v6. So yeah, I mean, if you're like us, it got us back into the game like recently. Cool. But yeah, definitely check that out. Then
Getting a big one.
What's that?
Battlefield 1.
Oh no, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
We got a couple more. We're going long today. We'll go to Battlefield and then we're gonna get into one that like. Yeah, Battlefield 1, which is weird because I think if it wasn't for Titanfall and the fact that I was actually pretty psyched the more I learned about Call of Duty's campaign, Battlefield 1, between the campaign stories and just the overall like crazy scope of the multiplayer matches and how I usually don't like just call out a game's like visuals is something like that I love about it. Like, I mean, some games are good. Like in Battlefield 1's really good looking game between like the dewdrops on, especially on PC, obviously, like the dewdrops on your weapons, like when you crouch in the mud, you come back up. It feels very rooted in this setting, and a lot of people are saying it feels more like a World War II game, but I don't know. It's great. You know, you're looking at the forest maps here. It's between the war stories, which is like the campaign, the actual stories they were telling, the characters in them, and how like varied they were, and then also just, you know, getting more into. I've been playing multiplayer matches in between other things, and I don't know, like this game. Again, you have to be a little more patient in this game than Titanfall or anything, or even Overwatch. But it's, I don't know, you could do so much more than just shoot at people in this game. You can, you know, like just hold a point at whether you don't see someone for like 15 minutes. It's up to you whether like how you want to play it. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this game seems like the Battlefield game that I've been waiting for a while. Like I had a lot of fun with 3, I had a lot of fun with 4, but the problem is that there wasn't as much. The maps weren't as dynamic. Like you couldn't just knock out a building necessarily. And now this one feels like I have way more choice in what I'm doing. And then to add to that, like the game looks stunning. It's a spectacle. Like any match you load into, you just have this huge sort of playground in front of you, and there's 60 some people like running around. Like it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, like on one layer you have these 3 different facets, right? You have air, land, and sea. In some cases, sea. But then you also have like ground combat. Then you have tanks, but it's also really impressive with how they coalesce and kind of make for this bigger battlefield. So you're not just worrying about running into a soldier around the next corner. You're worried like whether a tank's there and whether you should pull out your anti-tank rocket. I don't know, Rob. I think everybody's familiar with this now, but you love being a pilot.
Yeah, and that's fun because you that game is, yeah, Jake said it, like it's just spectacle and immersive. Like that's where I feel like I would come back to it, is just for that experience, right? Like I definitely love the air combat, but I think what's probably the best is to like play heavily in one area of a Battlefield map and then try out the land. Because what is always surprising to me is like, yeah, you're in a plane and you're just like wrecking people with like, an anti-tank gun or something like that. And then you get on the ground and then you look up and see what whoever is doing the exact same thing you were doing, and it's terrifying. Like you are just scared. You're like, wow, that was me earlier. Like some guy just crapping himself in a foxhole, and I'm just like, yeah, I missed that shot. Gotta go around and do it again. This guy's still there, like crying. Like there's a lot of those moments where it's just intense.
Yeah. Well, like dropping bombs out of planes, like what you were saying, like you drop a bomb out of plane, you don't think about it, you just fly away. But then like cut to the guy on the ground and like a building just collapsed in front of him, and he's like, "Good thing I wasn't in there."
You fly and it's like, oh, I only got like 90% of his health. Like, oh, what a bust! And he's there and he's shaking, he's seeing red and like mud on his gun.
There are these great little moments in this game that you don't even think about until they happen. I mean, like just small, despite how big it is and how massive these maps are and how big the battles are. There are small details that you don't really realize how important they are until they're like happening. So when you're in like a bunker, for instance, that was good timing. When you're in a bunker, it'll just be, you see the lights on the ceiling shaking when like artillery's pummeling the hill above you, and that sense of place that you get out of that, especially when you're all just hunkered down and dust is falling from the ceiling as a fucking Zeppelin crashes on this building nearby you. The way these battles unfold, like to say nothing about the dynamic weather, which is another way that it can change things up between the sandstorms or the fog that rolls in. So I prefer to be a scout. And when fog rolls in, I'm like, shit. Now I'm just so terrified of assault, like someone playing assault just rushing at me out of the fog, and I can't do much aside from pull out my sidearm, like right here. I don't know. I love how these maps are huge, and it's not even like it's forcing you to play something different every time. You could just play it as a foot soldier every time if you want, but there's so many different ways to play this game. And again, that's why this year has been awesome for shooters, to say the least. And Battlefield 1 is kind of like a microcosm of why I love that. Like, again, to say very little about these, the war stories, I don't want to spoil much, but they are worth playing, definitely being the campaign and whatnot. Yeah.
I think at least one of my biggest takeaways from Battlefield 1 though has been if one front, I guess, isn't going so well, like if you're trying to take A and it's not going so well, then you go to C, and then it almost feels like a completely different battle is going on over here. And then you go to D, and like all the maps are so well designed, at least for the most part. There's a couple that I could do without, but I don't remember what it's called, but there's one where there's a bunker on a hill, and if you take this position, you have control of this anti-air gun. And me and my friend, it was like a squad of 3 of us or so, and it was just us trying to take this bunker, but there was like 12 people in there, and it was just so much fun, like trying to plan this attack with other people. Like it's something that you don't really see in, I guess, a multiplayer game. Like it was very slow. Like it's like, all right, so I'm going to go down this side. I'm going to try to take out this guy who is, I don't know what he's doing over here. Yeah. And then we try to go into the bunker, and then someone throws a grenade and that messes up. We try again, like just the different ways you can play, kind of like what you're just saying. It's just an example of it, but it's really engaging.
Yeah, Battlefield 1 is one I'm going to keep returning to. Maybe not as often as some others, but it's definitely one of the more impressive games of the year. I do want to, like, quickly before I get into this last one, I want to talk a little bit more about. I want to talk about Call of Duty. I think the campaign is actually worth playing to see how they did that, how they structured it between the seamless storytelling going between your ship and the starships and then the planets you're going to. That campaign, the multiplayer didn't impress me much. It didn't really make any changes since Black Ops 3, or many changes. I do think this campaign's worth trying out, worth playing. It's pretty impressive in a lot of ways. Gears of War 4, I thought the game was good. I liked it. It was, like it still is like feels really good for a third-person shooter. The story wasn't my favorite, but the horde mode is great if you haven't played that. And then, Battleborn, if you're looking for a hero shooter, that came out before Overwatch, a couple months, and I think it kind of got lost in the shuffle because Overwatch was already in. You could already be playing it like early access, which I think that was probably on purpose because that was their main competitor. But Battleborn, I don't think did it as good a job as like finding focus, despite the fact that they were trying a lot of things. But around that time of year, also, is this last one I'll talk about quickly. Not quickly, but is Doom, which I think surprised all of us. Maybe because it was a reboot. We're like, how are they really going to do well with this? How are they going to nail it? But one of my favorite games this year now, in a year like chock full of awesome shooters. And this game, even like compared to Titanfall, I think this game is like unmatched in how good it feels from moment to moment. Totally. And the campaign is probably my favorite like single player thing I've done this year, aside from like Uncharted or something. I'm watching gameplay right now and I already want to play it again. I had dreams about this game when I was playing it, and I'm not being hyperbolic. I don't usually say shit like that, but I really did. I would wake up in the morning
horrifying
and be thinking, well, I had nightmares about this game, but no, I would be like the loop between, all right, I need ammo, so I'm gonna kill this guy with a chainsaw because the killing someone with chainsaw always drops ammo. But then when I get enough ammo, I'm gonna need to find chainsaw fuel littered around the map. Holy shit, my health's low. That dude's glowing. I can do an assassination that will always give me health. Hold on, let me pull his arm off and beat him in the face with it.
And he's like across the map, so you're just like pushing away everyone, just singling them out. You know what I mean? You start doing like personal goals with that game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's you're seeing someone across a crowded room and then you're locking eyes. Oh my god, they're just trying desperately to get out, but then you punch their heads off. The weapons feel awesome, like the double barrel shotgun. Yeah. And I love when you get into crazy firefights, just this heavy metal starts pumping through your speakers. You're getting after it.
It took me so long to finish the campaign of this game because I'd play a mission and my brain would just be like, oh yeah, my eyes would be bleeding. I'm like, I gotta stop. Like, this is like cool.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, I think we all could say that. Like, I think I played that game, like, probably 3 hours on like just like pure nonstop carnage. And when hearing you say that, it's not like a bad thing. It's like a cool thing.
It doesn't waste any time at all.
It's just cool.
You might be a little shaking after it, but like just all the power chords for every like elimination. Like what are they called? Glory kills.
Glory kills. Yeah, thank you.
Just those were, I think I was getting some nightmare flashbacks. Not nightmares, but just like, just that visual. It's cool.
It doesn't waste any time getting you into it. It's like, you're the Doom Marine. Here's a tablet. Like, here's why they buried you. Here's a gun. Get into it. You kill a few guys right away, and then it opens up. It's like your next gun is like a few minutes later, and you're just, oh my, this feels unreal.
It's the self-aware too, right? Like, it's that intro where he's I forget what the main character is, or one of the main that AI robot who's kind of guiding you through.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
We kind of mess things up here,
and
you just go, God damn it! And you throw like the LCD into like, or you punch. Don't punch those. Yeah, it's like the upgrades.
You just needed to turn it off, and you're just like, sucks.
And then it's like you spoke of the chainsaw. I remember just, for the first time in like many of games, like RPGs or anything like exploration based, where it's like, here's like a page of like script.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get burnout on that, and I just want to continue to play the game. This was probably one of, if not the only games where I was super excited to read every bit of story in the weapon. Like when they start talking about the chainsaw, when you get it, it's the funniest thing. They're just like, yeah, we don't really understand why there's a chainsaw
on a space station.
Like, someone kind of just brought it up like as contraband. So it's just kind of here on Mars.
Well, but then you have everything. You like the collectibles and like exploring these maps, which are pretty open. I mean, they're linear open. I think they called it in Uncharted 4, whatever Naughty Dog was talking about. Like you can explore these like sandbox, and there's another one down the hallway. You want to find these collectibles. You're upgrading your suit. You're upgrading your just regular abilities. You're upgrading each weapon, and each weapon, when you get to like the master tier, it's just insane. Like the double barrel shotgun, like the reload is nothing, and you can shoot like. They're showing it right here. It becomes nuts, and you're fighting these. This game gets tough if you're not like using your weapons.
I played on one of the harder difficulties too, and like I had trouble on that final boss. And
it says something that I had a rocket launcher in my main inventory the whole time, and I forgot sometimes. Like that's how crazy some of the weapons are. That like a rocket launcher took a back seat to a lot of like what I was.
Well, the fully upgraded machine gun that shoots missiles instead of that's sick.
Oh, what? See, that's why it's such a freaking great campaign is with things like runes too,
Yeah.
and the division of like where a weapon can go with its like alternate mode is where you want to play it again. Like it was kind of a tough call. You had to choose between like I can't even remember them now, so long ago. But like the infinite mini micro missiles or like another one for like the machine gun. It was like shit, that's a tough call, but you got to do it. And the runes are great because by the end of it, and this is where I think like Titanfall 2, minor gripe, but it was like, oh, how cool would it be to replay Titanfall 2's campaign with every loadout right in the beginning, opposed to only getting the last few stretches with Legion, the minigun wielding Titan. Like this is where Doom, like for sure, was like, oh, I can't wait to play it again with all those runes and all those perks, and then play it on a higher difficulty. Yeah. Like that's a really reward factor that's like so worthwhile to like tackle. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Doom is up there among like the greats of this year. This year was like seriously just like packed with Unreal shooters, and like we just talked about 4 for quite a while, and like we didn't even touch on some of the still great shooters. Like I thought Gears of War 4 was a good game. I thought Call of Duty's campaign was impressive. I liked some things about Battleborn. I don't think it all came together as much as we would have liked. Super Hot was also a really good game. Want to talk more about that at some point, but so again, that's not like anything about our game of the year yet. We'll have those discussions as a GameSpot group, but those are our favorites. Again, Titanfall 2 is probably mine in terms of, if I had to give a definitive answer, Titanfall 2 is my favorite shooter of the year. I think you guys would agree.
Yeah, I think so. Rob probably not.
I wouldn't. Of 2016, I'm thinking like almost of all time. Sometimes I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, it's a great game. You should play it.
It reminds me of like playing Halo Combat Evolved in my garage till like by myself on Blood Gulch because I didn't have any friends who were over that at the time, and I would just practice.
Good correction there.
Just doing nothing in the game. Like, what am I doing? I'm not even doing it in this game. It's just like I just keep every time I turn on a PS4, I just think about playing Titanfall.
Yeah, Titanfall 2, great game. In general, so let us know what you think, what your favorite shooters are of the year, and leave your thoughts in the comments below.